Okay, so I'm going to show you guys how to use the calculator. And by the way, this is currently being made into a mobile app. This whole calculator will be just a app on your phone, probably within a week, which
That's
is
cool.
super fun. Because
Are you gonna make people buy it?
no, I can have up to 10 users. Until I want to sell it, it'll just be free.
Okay.
And I don't really want to do that yet. But when I do my investment class in March, I will probably make people pay for it. Just because they'll charge me to have it. At any rate, it's a lot easier to do this on your desktop than it is on your phone right now.
Yeah, it is way easier.
So the way it works, let me zoom in a little bit. There's only 4 things you have to input into the calculator aside from the repair items, which is the build year, the square footage. You check the boxes for what you want, and it's already estimating off of. I averaged the last, I think, like 8 flips that we did, and went on the high side, like more towards the ones we did most recently, to get the cost per square foot of everything. And it's relatively accurate. I've looked at it against, like testing it against the last couple deals we did. Just for reference, like Cedar Knoll, which included an addition, came out to $43 per square foot, and it's a relatively new house. And we didn't have to upgrade like electrical, but we did add a whole room, so that wound up being on the high side. It used to be $30 per square foot was like an entire rehab from start to finish. I think it's now, if you have to do a whole house, expected to be about 50. That's just like cost wise. And so you go through. Let's do an example using the MLS search that I set up that I call potential MLS deals. So these are all on market. I like doing on market deals. Do you know why?
Because they're motivated to sell.
Because they've indicated they want to sell. Secondly, we get paid 3%, so it adds another 3% commission to our deal. And because I use 2 companies, it's nice to have commission go to one, and so we get investment, and we get revenue from the sale.
How does the year build affect those numbers?
It just changes the contingency, and I'll show you exactly how it works. But this deal, or this search that I have set up, is not supposed to have new homes in it. It's only supposed to be like pre-owned. And then I also like to look at expireds, anything that kind of looks like it needs work. So these are all shitty houses. That one's probably too crappy. This is what I'll do like every day. The new things that pop up in this search, I just look at the address, look at the house. This is probably a pretty good example.
You could do Reed's house.
No. So this is a good example of one that you could potentially wholesale. This is a very full renovation project. You can see just how terrible it is. I would not do this one. Let's see. Click through pretty quick on the pictures. And lately we've been liking to stick to things that are built in the 80s. I think are a good place to start. It doesn't require as much work. This is an important thing to notice, because there's a good reason this tells me the AC probably doesn't work. It needs to be replaced. Yep, there's one in here too. So I have a feeling the central AC is not working. But this is probably a good example of a house that needs a lot of cosmetic. Looks like it's relatively well maintained. Take note of the wood siding. And somebody was either a roofing contractor or had a lot of extra clay tile laying around because there's no reason to put a clay tile on this house in Northern Hills.
Is there product that you won't touch? Like there's really bad foundation or
No, we in San Antonio, like 50% of the projects we've done have to have foundation work done.
Okay.
There's
definitely areas though that you prefer to work in.
Yeah, so the areas I don't work in are things that have above average days on market. So like and the average days on market right now is really still like 60 to 90. That's a decent market. I really like to see houses that are moving at the top end within 30 days. Because that tells me there's a market in that area for a renovated top of the market house. Hello, Martin. We're going through the renovation. There we go.
Hello,
now it's
people.
a full boat.
What's up, man? Oh, at the end.
We had the first closing of the year. Funded
Ira
yesterday.
What's up?
Ira?
Hello.
Oh wait,
Closing of the
sorry.
year.
Tori had the first
How you doing,
closing.
man?
Noah.
Ah.
Our first commercial closing of the year was $1 million, so I'm pretty stoked about it. We're going through MLS, KJ, and this is actually mostly for you because you said you didn't know how to underwrite for flips. My challenge to everybody on the team was to put in one offer last week with us as the buyer and underwrite it, estimate repair costs, put the offer in. We wound up putting in, I think Tori and I put in like 4 offers. I think we looked at least 4 houses and I put in four offers. So we'll see what happens.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so I like this one. I'm probably going to use this as the example. And it is, let's just look at this one. Okay. For reference, this area starting here, like in central San Antonio, has the most foundation work needed. So there, you can kind of follow like the path of rivers.
35 that has anything off of 35.
Like in San Antonio, the middle, I'll show you the soil concentration that is what's called expansive clay soil is where you get the most problems. And all of the expansive clay soil in San Antonio follows the middle section up this direction. As you go northeast or northwest, it becomes more rocky. There's much less foundation problems. So anything through here, Alamo Heights, Terrell Hills, up to 81 and 35.
Cibolo has terrible.
Cibolo. This whole side of San Antonio has like the worst foundation problems. So keep that in mind when you look through it. Now that I have that done, I'm going to just pull the comps. Wait, let me go back to filters. So we're in Northern Heights, and this house is 1,300 square feet. All right, let's go back and get some comps. I'm gonna look for homes in that area. 15% on either side from a square footage perspective. So I'll just go like 1,000 to 1,900. And we're going to map. Zoom in over here. I actually like working for pulling comps. I like working with this the modern look on MLS because it will allow you to also quickly get like rental comps if you want to do that and quickly change your statuses. So we'll zoom into Northern Hills. There's a golf course and a country club over here.
I like Northern Hills.
Actually, I haven't spent much time there. Finish drawing. And then months back. Start at 6 months. Oh, that's a lot of matches. In the meantime, I'm going to go to my calculator. I already know that we're gonna need demo. It didn't look like it needed a lot of landscaping, so I'm just gonna take that off. Fencing, no. Electrical or HVAC, yes. Let's change this to 1400. And if you get a gut feeling like that the budget's not right, the easiest way to change everything would actually just to be to increase your, like, round up your square footage or increase it by 100 square feet. That'll actually update everything in a cost perspective. But I'm gonna say it probably doesn't need electrical. The roof looked good. Doesn't mean it's definitely gonna work or not, but let's assume it doesn't need framing. Let's assume it mostly needs cosmetic work. Interior, kitchen, bathrooms, flooring. Let's take the roof out. Now, another example, if you went with a clay tile roof, this roof budget is composition 30-year shingle. If you're in a neighborhood that requires metal roofs, you can't replace it with a composition shingle. But we typically won't buy in a neighborhood where you have to do that. That's a high-end area. And then the year built on this one, wow, look at all these comps, they're all over the place. Let's narrow it down a little bit more. So 60,900 with the contingency, and then down here you can do a miscellaneous input. So if there's let's say on this property in particular, there's something you have to do, like you want to do something crazy, like tear the porch down or put in. Let's see, what could we do here? Put in new appliances. That could be something you work on, or windows. I don't ever replace windows unless it's in a historic district where you have to, and they're really that bad. Like in Dignity Hill, we bought houses where the windows were 100 years old, they're rotten, there are termites in there, you have to do it.
So the kitchen reno budget does not include appliances?
The kitchen reno budget does, it says it, you just have to use your gut. Like it does include like countertops, cabinets, sinks. That's where most of your money is gonna go. So we can get appliances for under $1,000, but let's say you wanted to go upgrade those, then add that to the miscellaneous budget.
What is the contingency pulling from?
The contingency adds everything in here together, and then based on the year built, everything that's blacked out is not included in it. But the contingency multiplies that by 10% or by 15%, depending on the year built. So if I go 1970, the contingency just increased to 10,000. If I go 2000, the contingency goes down to 68.
That an older home would need more.
Yeah. And a home past 1978, you have a lead paint disclosure. There might be additional things. Just making an assumption.
What would that mean?
So
like a cushion?
when here, let me show you. I'll show you exactly what I mean. This is what a rehab construction budget looks like when you submit it to Hard Money. What?
Nothing.
What? Spreadsheets?
Yeah.
Sorry. This is what the actual work you have to do when you submit to a Hard Money lender to get your loan. And we have learned they will literally only give you the money that's exactly tied to these items as it is on your budget. So let's say you underestimate, like we underestimated, we didn't have vanities put in our budget. We needed 2 vanities. We thought we could salvage the ones that were in there. They looked like shit, so we had to go buy them. They were $1,200. So there's nothing on the budget line here. It's going to come out of this contingency that we put, which was an additional $13,000. They do 12% minimum, so I might change mine a little bit.
Well, and the inspector on this project was so strict that when I submitted for reimbursements for these, let's just say I submitted like the full kitchen reimbursement, he literally came back with notes saying like hardware on site but not installed will not reimburse.
Yeah, hardware
So,
not
like,
installed. We're talking
literally,
on-site,
unless
not
the work
installed.
is done, they are not giving you the money for it.
Wow.
Yeah. So you do have to be very accurate while you.
Yeah, we're talking about cabinet pulls.
Yes.
So they wouldn't give us the kitchen budget, which was
Even though he noted that they're
$15,000.
sitting in the kitchen, ready to be installed, but they were not installed yet.
Yeah.
Because theoretically, you could just remove them from the property.
Yeah, and the same with the appliances. Like the appliances are in the garage, and he wouldn't give us the money for it. And I was like, they're heavy. I moved them in there, put them and installed them. So at the end of the day, the second thing, you've got your repair budget estimated. The whole goal of this calculator is to give you your estimated offer price that you're going to submit to the seller, right? To do that, you need the ARV. The ARV is going to be the average of the homes in the area that are most similar. So here's one. This is 1,800 square feet. It's a little big, but it looks like it was closer to the top of the market. Here's one on market. I'm going to select a few, I think, just based on the price point, and then we're going to zoom in to see what the actuals are.
You base ARVs on strictly closed homes or?
So
listed
I
and
like to
closed?
look at everything. When we are doing comps, I like to see what's on the market so we know what the competition is. Because if I can beat the competition on price and be slightly below the other highest priced homes in the market, my home will sell faster. And if there's enough room in my offer to do that, like for example, Cedar Knoll, there were comps going up to $650, but I knew I could make 20% profit at $590. So why price it at $650 and wait an extra 3 or 4 months to sell? Like yes, I could make another $40,000, but the risk is the home sits and now I have to drop the price and I'm at $590 anyway. So if I can beat them when I list, that's what I want to do. So I like to take the top of the market comps and then be like around 5 to 10% below the highest price per square foot. And now if there's upside, it comes from that. And it does mean we don't get every deal, but it also means almost every deal is profitable. So then I'm going to just show the selected comps. I'm going to hide the map really quick. We know these are all in the same neighborhood. Another quick way to look at comps. Now this goes for running comps as a agent when you're doing a listing presentation as well. Something to pay close attention to is how close together the streets are. Will tell you if a neighborhood has changed from like high density to lower density. We just noticed this on Monday. We went to a neighborhood. What was that neighborhood called, Tori?
Forest Oaks.
Forest Oaks. Yeah, so there's a very small neighborhood where we found a guy who wanted to sell. It's actually right over here off 410. MacArthur Park, right? Yeah, this is it. So his house is over here on Forest Oak, and all the comps we were pulling were over here on MacArthur Park. Pretty quickly you can see these streets are much closer together than these. So these lots are larger. The comps in this little section right here were at least 50,000 higher and $20 per square foot higher for these houses versus these. And it's still the same neighborhood, but it's important to pay attention to that when you're running comps.
Is that just from the lot size?
The lot size as well as even the house size, but you can't
The
tell.
lot sizes in that front part of the neighborhood were like 0.2, like in that range. But the lot sizes in the back section were like about an acre, so.
And then you might be tempted to go even across the street and pull a comp. These are even smaller. Like these streets are even closer
too,
together.
You get close to like Terrell Heights or those neighborhoods that are over there that are like like one
Get
street
sketchy.
over, it's sketchy. So
Yeah, this happens a lot, especially in Terrell Hills and Terrell Heights. So you might pull comps here. This side of the street
it
is Alamo
Austin
Heights.
Highway that makes it.
This side of the street is not. And so it starts to get, the further you go up Austin Highway, like the worse it gets. And over here, you're just scary. The Northern Hills. Okay. So we've got our comp selected. We've got our list. And we can see the price per square foot ranges from 175 to 188. That's actually really tight. That's a pretty good indicator. And I sort my homes by price per square foot. They listed this one in the middle. This tells me they're probably not really realistic, but it doesn't matter. I'm still going to submit an offer anyway. Based on, remember what those pictures looked like. Oh wait, I pulled the wrong house. This is just a new house. A new listing. So they did some work in here. Carpet doesn't look great to me. I would have painted
you ever
this.
go after a product like this, that like it's kind of renovated, but
Only if somebody called me and said we're in default and we need to move it. Like, you can do what's called a wholesale, so you could buy a house that's like pretty good if you get 25% margin off of market value and you don't have to touch it. Yeah, we would do it. This one wouldn't be a great investment. They've already done everything, and unless they were in a position to let go of the house for a lot less, it wouldn't make sense. There's not any value add. But this tells me if I price my home in the, look at these at the closer to the top, 185 to 188 per square foot, we can probably wind up like right around 185. So let's just use 185. Is that accurate? 259? Yeah, 259. This is the smaller of the homes, closer to the same square footage. So with that in mind, it's going to calculate my closing costs, holding costs. It's going to pull the repair budget in, and then it's going to reverse engineer to like our price point or our profit margin. You change the profit margin based on what you want. Let's say like in some cases, if it's pretty much a slam dunk, if the house is newer, if you know it's going to move quickly, because we're looking at days on market too, right? Let's see. See where these are at.
what profit margin do you target?
56.
Range?
17 to 20%. If I'm doing a quick calculation, I'll use 25%. Like if I'm in a meeting and somebody wants to know what I'll pay, I will just do a quick, like I think it'll be 70,000 repair. I think the ARV is this. Subtract 25%. That's my margin. If I'm doing a detailed analysis, I will look at least 17%, up to 20%. And then there's an additional cushion, right, with that contingency. Maybe I don't need all of that contingency, but I still want to factor it in. So this gives us $35,992 profit at 20%. Our offer is $143. Is that realistic? Probably not. They're probably not going to take it, but that's how I underwrite these deals. And if it sits on the market long enough or it expires, we might have an opportunity there. Let's show all.
Is there anything in your calculations for the bed bath numbers? I saw, because I think that the one that you pulled was like a 2-1.
This is a 3-2.
Oh, it is a 3-2. Okay.
And no, like, it's just based on the square footage. So if I notice we could add a bathroom, or maybe there's room in the garage where we could do that, I'd put that into the miscellaneous.
Okay.
Like, let's say I want to add I think it cost us at Cedar Knoll, I think it cost around $30,000 to add another bathroom and finish out what was like a workshop. That's honestly where we got the biggest value add is always square footage. So if you think about it, even this house, ARV at 185 per square foot, that means every square foot I add adds $185. So if I can add 500 square feet and it costs me $50 a square foot to add it, and I can sell that square footage for 185, that's over 3x return.
Do you do a lot of projects like that where you add square footage to properties?
That is absolutely my favorite. If there's opportunity to add square footage, like this house could potentially be one of those opportunities if it makes sense, because it's 1,300 square feet. If I can add 500 square feet easily,
Turn it into a 4-3, 4-3.
yeah. So we had the first deal we did, which was in like Almost Park area. We changed the garage into square footage, right? Nobody was using the garages in those areas. It's not expected. We added 400 square feet that way. Downtown, we bought a 1,100 square foot house and added a 400 square foot master suite. That's $300 per square foot in that area, and it cost me $100 to add it. So it was like another 3x return on that work.
Awesome.
So yes, if I can do it, that's always my go-to.
Does that delay? Like how long
It
does that
does.
take to get permits and get all
If
that?
you're in the city limits, you can add about 2 to 3 months for permitting, and you need to add about $5,000 for architectural reviews. Like you need an architect to come in and design it, do your plumbing, electrical, HVAC, all of that stuff. In this house in Cedar Knoll, we were outside of the city limits, and the HVAC was next to it. The plumbing was in the same room, and the electrical was literally outside that room. So we did not have to do as much work to add all of those elements. If it wasn't like that, it would have probably around doubled our cost and our timeline. But everything was like right there. It was very easy.
What's the non-addition timeline typically? From like
A project like this, like 1,300 square feet and mostly cosmetic, I could turn around in about 3 weeks. Like 3 or 4 weeks, we could be done. Our house that we live in right now, was 3,500 square feet, mostly cosmetic. Like we didn't have to do a roof, HVAC, any of that. And that house took 45 days, I think, less than 45 days. So we can do it. And that's just a crew of 4 or 5 people
Well,
working
and
every day.
Cedar Knoll was a huge project, and that
Huge.
project so fast.
Yeah, that was roof, HVAC, everything cosmetic, countertops, the addition, that was done in that was done in 35 days.
wow.
And that was a crew of like 4 guys. So you can run it as long as your crew is only working on one project at a time. About 4 or 5 weeks it can be done. So then the next thing I do, I go to Slack. If you're on our team, just go to Slack and say we have a tab called Offer Creation. Titus, can you draft an offer for, what was the address? 4411 Brushy.
Do y'all just is the printer y'all use the back black and white one?
For 149,000 for home style. Spends LC with a 7-day option and we close. Boom. There's an offer out. So, any questions? You got yourselves a buyer. Even if you're a brand new agent, you got me. And at these offer prices, there's an option to either wholesale to another potential investor, or we close on it, do the work, and move through it. And so what I was going to tell you guys about, which I just talked to another agent in the office about, was the investment agent partnership that I want to start. Oh, you can't see that. Let me put this into a Word document. So this will be a new program, and we actually just really did this with Tori. She brought us the Cedar Knoll deal. She managed the project. She's going to get 20% of the profit, as well as she got half the commission up front and half the commission on the backside. So total from that investment project, somewhere around 20 grand. So bring us, this is kind of an offer to y'all, but really anybody in the office. Bring us a pre-market listing, make an offer. We can contract and close in 21 days. We finance. You keep all of the commission up front plus 1.5% of the sales side. So if you get them to sign the listing agreement with you, that's how we can approach it. We can just be the buyer, and you keep the commission that you would get from that.
The 3%.
The 3%. Bring us a deal and invest with us. We'll contract and close in 21 days, carry the closing costs and financing, and you can invest up to 50% in the down payment and collect the same cash on cash return we get. So say you want to put $20,000 into a project, bring the deal, we do the financing, put it in our company, and then you would get the same cash on cash return that we get for the deal. And the cash on cash return is calculated as everything, like on Cedar Knoll, it's about a 65% cash on cash return. We put 60,000 out, we're gonna get 130 back, minus any other expenses. That's how we calculate profit margin and cash on cash return. So 20 in, 33 back when we sell. Straightforward joint venture. So that is why we're pushing this, because I want to do at least 12 flips this year. Any questions? Tori, why don't you tell everybody how you've been so successful the last couple months?
Lately, I've been like, whenever I'm out showing houses or